There's nothing new under the sun. There are no new silver bullets out there. What we need to do is just recognize the fundamentals. Work is about human beings working with other human beings trying to achieve a specific goal or outcome. It's that simple.
Hi and welcome to another episode of the peopleHum interview series. I'm your host Neha Murthy at peopleHum. peopleHum is an end-to-end, one-way integrated human capital management automation platform, the winner of the 2019 Global Cody Award for HCM that is specifically built for crafted employee experiences and the future of work. We run the peopleHum blog and video channel which receives upwards of 200,000 visitors a year and publish around 2 interviews with well-known names globally every month. We have with us today Dr. James Rodgers, thought leader and strategist at James O. Rodgers and Associates. Being an expert on organizational culture, Dr. James provides transformation coaching for senior executives. He holds a unique perspective on executing diversity management as a performance strategy. In his work as an executive, a consultant and speaker, an executive coach and spiritual teacher, all he's ever wanted to do was help others achieve beyond their own beliefs and expectations, something he refers to as coaching beyond beliefs. That sounds extremely interesting. So let's jump right into the conversation, Dr. James. Welcome to peopleHum.
Welcome to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's absolutely our pleasure. So, as a coach yourself, how would you say business and coaching provides an edge to those who partake in it? Are there certain set of ideals that you'd like to highlight for our audience who might be considering business coaching?
Well, I have a philosophy about coaching. I think it's an essential part of anyone's development, whether it be inside an organization. Most of my clients are corporate executives. Whether it be inside an organization, heading a small business or a solo consultancy or something like that yourself, we all have blind spots. We all have gifts, we all have talents, and we all have skills. I think we focus so much on the skills that we overlook our talents. So part of coaching is about revealing people's talents to them and encouraging them to use their talents. One of the things that you probably have read in some of my writings is I believe coaching is about just reminding people of what they already know to do, but for some reason, because of their blind spots, they're not doing them. So a coach has to master more than the mechanics of coaching. You have to bring with you some wisdom, some experience, some insight, so that you can craft the right kinds of questions. The important thing about coaching is not mentoring. It's not about telling people what they ought to do. It's about giving them the tools to answer their own questions. And so the capacity as a master facilitator, I use the same skills in coaching. I listen and I try to craft the right questions to drive that person deeper into their own thinking. The idea is that somewhere in the back of your mind, you have all the answers you need, but for some reason they're not coming forward. It's my job as a coach to bring that out in you, to get you to say it. By the way, one of the things that I do with all my coaching clients is I tell them, when you say something that represents your own wisdom, I'm going to stop you and say, did you hear what you just said? Because quite often people have their own answers and will actually say it. Other people will hear it, and the person who said it won't even hear it. So one of the things that I've experienced over my many years is the wisdom to know that, the capacity to develop craft those really deep, probing questions is really the key to good coaching. One of the things that happens is, of course, a person who has effective coaching. There's a lot of coaching going around. Not all of it's good. Let's just be honest about that. A person who has effective coaching has an advantage because they're now more in touch with who they are naturally, and they can do their job out of their talents rather than forcing it and striving to do it out of some gained skill set that they have. I like to make the analogy. Coaching comes out of the sports arena, of course. And you look at what really great coaches do. They start with what? A great client. They start with a professional or a college level or a high school level person who already knows how to play the game. Their job is not to teach them how to play the game. It is to watch them, see what they're good at, and then occasionally remind them of what they're good at. I used the example of Michael Jordan, who, of course, is one of the all-time great basketball players. But when Coach Phil Jackson would pull him to the side, he wouldn't say, Michael, this is a basketball. This is what you do with it. He would say, Michael, that last move you made, you know that switch over dribble that you used to use? Why didn't you use that? That would have gotten you by him. He noticed little things that the leader, in our case, knows how to do, but for some reason in that moment just didn't do. So again, it's about reminding people of what they're good at and then allowing them to do it. And it takes wisdom and it takes a certain talent for coaching in order to be really good at that. So I think the advantage is that people get a better sense of who they are as an individual. They're already good at their job. They've got mentors to help them if they don't know how to do their job. The coach's job is to pull out the best in them and make sure that that's present in their work.
Absolutely, that makes so much of sense, and that's interesting to know. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah.
And moving on to the next question, the one term that we have been listening and talking about the most is the future of work, right? And you hold expertise in strategy change and leadership of change. Could you provide a brief ideas of these three in terms of the future of work?
Yeah. One of my pet peeves is that we throw terms around so much and we don't stop to define our terms. Socrates said, the beginning of any human conversation is let's define our terms. Because one of the things that happens is that people throw terms like strategy around and they don't really know what the word strategy is. We just make up meaning. And so you and I may be talking about strategy and having a long conversation, and we may be talking about two different things and never know it. So one of the things that I do is encourage people to go back and let's define our terms. So in terms of the future of work, I think we have to go back to the basics. I'm writing a book now about going back to the basics of diversity management, which happens to be my unique uh, area of focus. Going back to where it started, why it started, what the intent was, and how we've gotten off track. In order to get back on track, you have to know what track you were on. So one of the things that I encourage people in every area of work, there's nothing new under the sun. There are no new silver bullets out there. What we need to do is just recognize the fundamentals. Work is about human beings working with other human beings trying to achieve a specific goal or outcome. It's that simple. Human beings working with other human beings to achieve specific goals and outcomes. Whatever your product or whatever your service is, that is finally, that's what work is about. Another definition is we think that the purpose of a business is to make a profit. It is not. Unless we go back and realize that the purpose of your business is to satisfy a customer need. Your business wouldn't exist if there were not customers out there who needed and wanted what you can provide. Now, the fact that you do it well, that's where profit comes in. If you do it well, then you get the profit from it. But that is not your reason for being. So around strategy, I try to remind people that strategy is about positioning. In order to be number one in your field, you have to position your business so that you have a competitive advantage over your competition. And that basically means that I'm the lowest price, I'm the highest quality, I am the most ubiquitous. Anything that gives you market penetration and value over your competition, that's your strategy. Most people talk about strategy as the action plan to execute that strategy. But we have to go back to being clear about why are we here and what is our strategy for winning. Strategy, of course, is a military term. I happen to have served in the military, and great generals know that if I'm going to take that island, I have to have a strategy. What position must I take? I want to take the high ground. Why do I want to take the high ground? Because it allows me to see all that's going on around on that island. So it's really a simple concept. And I try to simplify and summarize all of these complex terms so that people can digest them. We've got a whole new generation of people coming into business, and they throw terms around and they try to act like they know what they mean, but they have never gone back and just delved into the simple fundamental meanings of all of these concepts. So I think the future of business is, let's go back to the beginning. Let's revisit some of the fundamental concepts of business and business management. And let's try to do it right. Rather than making it more complex, let's just do the simple.
Right, that makes so much of sense. Like we've been trying to innovate new things and we've forgotten where the basics are coming from, and we need to revisit that and polish that, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And also,
It's
all
like, let me add this. It's like people come into the middle of a conversation and try to add value when they don't know where the conversation started.
absolutely, absolutely. And
Yeah.
also, all the best for your upcoming book. I'll definitely love to read that.
Thank you. I'll make sure you're aware of it when it comes out.
Absolutely. Also, talking about diversity and inclusion, right? How can diversity management be approached as a performance strategy, and how does that contribute to one's organizational culture?
Yeah. The unfortunate thing about the diversity movement, I call it the diversity movement, is that when it started, it had an original intent around organizational performance. It was basically saying the landscape has changed. There are going to be different kinds of people, and that's not going to be just one different kind of people. There's going to be all kinds of different kinds of people showing up in the marketplace. Business, you don't have the skills and you don't have the experience of dealing with that. So very simple. When you don't have the skills to do something, what do? Go get the skills to do that. Instead, diversity has become a social engineering project that we're trying to solve all of society's problems. When if business just did what we originally intended for them to do, which is demonstrate the value of diversity by saying, I get better outcomes when I take advantage and I manage well this diverse team that showed up in my business. I manage them well, there is value. So I am glad that I have people who look like you, and I have people who look like me, and I have people who look like the white guy who started it. You know, I have all of that mixed. Guess what? Each one of them brings a different perspective. Those differences of perspectives allow me to make better decisions, solve problems better, predict outcomes better, come up with better solutions. Those are the things that I want for my diverse workforce. If I focus on that, guess what? I will get more diversity. I will use that diversity better. I will show society that there is value in having more diversity. And that removes the stigma of diversity from the society. So as far as diversity management is concerned, got off track. And what I'm trying to do in my new book is to get us back on track, because it's so simple. When we go back and keep things simple, it's easier for people to digest them. We overcome this need for complexity that we seem to always devolve into. And it allows us to, again, see that business management is nothing more than human beings working with other human beings to achieve a specific goal and outcome.
Absolutely, that opens up a lot of new perspectives over there.
Yep.
Thank you so much. And also during the introduction earlier, your ideology of coaching beyond belief completely intrigued me. And can you tell us something more about it?
Well, in my experience in coaching people, what I discovered is a lot of people don't realize how good they are. And part of my coaching, again, is to bring that goodness out of that skill, that talent out of them. One of the first questions I ask them is, who do you think you are? And I get them to identify and to put language to their strengths, their weaknesses, and their gifts and talents. And the one that is toughest for them to put their arms around is the gifts and talents. And I point out to them, there are some things that you just came to the planet really good at. If you watch yourself over the years, you'll say, boy, I did this thing that I just came so natural to me, and everybody was raving about it. What's up with that? And we have to realize that we have those talents. I'm trying to pull it out of you so that you utilize them. There's something called the imposter syndrome. despite the fact that I primarily coach C-level executives, most of them will admit any day now they're going to discover that I'm not all that they think that I am. They always have this doubt and this lack of confidence. And part of my coaching is to remind them, no, they didn't make a mistake. They see something in you that you don't yet see in you. And I've got to help you to remind you that that exists so that you move with confidence to do the job that you've been set out to do. And so that's why I call it coaching beyond belief, because it allows them to achieve beyond their own expectations and what they believe that they bring to the party. Because most of us are capable of more than we ever realize. And so that's the foundation of my coaching practice is get people to be at their best.
Wow, that is so interesting. I've never looked at coaching in this perspective, and it motivates me a lot to,
Yeah.
accept more than believe.
Yes. Yeah.
Thank you so much for that. And before wrapping up the interview, lastly, any sound bites that you would like to leave our audience with?
One of the things that I say, like on my LinkedIn page, is all great achievers have coaches. Why don't you? There's a stigma around coaching that people believe that you only coach because you need extra credit help or need help. Well, the people that I coach don't need help. They're coaching because they're already winners. My job is to help them be even more effective because they're in critical positions. Their ability to do that well is really important to the organization. But I think that translates to everybody in every part of society. Each of us has capabilities, skills, and talents. We need to make sure that we're using them to the benefit of society. So I think coaching is a noble, and I call it a holy calling. It is something that those of us who are gifted to do it, we have to do that in order to help other people to exercise their own gifts. So I'm really excited about the role that I play in the lives of the people that I have the privilege of working with.
Wow, thank you so much for that positivity towards the end.
Thank you for the invitation.
It's completely our pleasure, James. And thank you for giving your time with us. And it was an absolute pleasure interviewing you. I completely enjoyed the conversation and I got to learn a lot. I'm sure it's going to benefit our audience as well.
Thank you so much, Neha.
Thank you
Bless you.
so much. Take care, stay healthy, stay safe.
All right, same to you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.